Welcome to Ralston Reports. We'll bring you newsmakers and commentary you won't find anywhere else. Tonight, a debate in the race for Congressional District 3. Congressional District 3 includes much of southern Nevada, including some other areas of Clark County. Republican Representative Joe Heck is the incumbent. Nevada Assembly Speaker John Oceguera, he's the Democrat, is challenging the Republican congressman. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, John. Good to be with you.
I do want to get into some specific issue differences between the two of you, but first, I did mention the ads. The ads in this race have been fairly brutal, and I've been doing this for a long time. Let's start with one that has been very controversial that you're running, Mr. Speaker, and some people are saying you're using rape and domestic violence victims for your own political gain. Here's the ad.
For many victims of rape or abuse, it's a matter of life and death. I know because I was a victim myself. I can't understand why Joe Heck would vote against funding for a rape crisis center, try to restrict rape victims' access to abortion, and oppose funding to help victims of domestic violence. Maybe he's never had to look in their eyes. But if Joe Heck doesn't stand up for them, just who is...
Wow. That is really something else. I mean, let's go over both of the. And that ad has gotten criticized in a lot of places, Mr. Speaker. So I'm going to get you to defend it right here. Sure. There's a couple of votes in there. The first is a legislative vote that Joe Heck took when he was a state senator. It had nothing to do with the rape crisis center. It was a big appropriations bill that he claims, and Bob Beers, I believe, was the other senator, voted against because of the overall appropriations. You went in there and cherry-picked the rape crisis center funding to make it seem like he doesn't care about rape victims. Isn't that what you did?
That's not true at all, John. These bills that you just mentioned, 19 other members of the state Senate voted for those bills. Republican-controlled Senate, led by Bill Raggio at the time, that apparently they all had time to read these bills and to look at these bills.
But the bill had nothing to do with the rape crisis center. It was a budget bill. It was an appropriations bill.
An appropriation for rape crisis center.
That's not just a single appropriation in there. I just want people to understand this was a huge bill, and look, he was on a small minority voting against this bill. There's no doubt about it. But that vote had nothing to do with the rape crisis center. Or do you know something we don't know?
John, if that's the standard you're going to use, then a lot of no votes are going to be interesting no votes. If you can't, this is his record. He has to defend it. Sharon Angle voted no a lot in the assembly as well.
Well, but this was that ad suggests that he doesn't care about rape victims. That's why he voted against that, right?
John, I don't care why he didn't vote against it or vote for it. It was appropriation for those two programs, a rape crisis center and domestic violence programs, and he voted against it.
That was a very small part of the bill, though. You'll acknowledge that, correct?
It was a part of the bill, yes.
All right. I'm going to let you defend this in just a second, but I want to go through the other part of it, which was an ad, which was a vote, while he was in Congress. H.R. 3, which was called the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act, specifically excludes from such prohibitions an abortion if, 1, the pregnancy is the result of rape or incest, 2, the woman suffers from a physical disorder, injury, or illness, including a life-endangering physical condition caused by or arising from the pregnancy itself, that will place her in danger of death unless an abortion is performed as certified by a physician. That's not what the ad says.
John, if a rape victim is audited by the IRS, they would have to prove that was because of a rape or incest, period.
But you don't think that that's misleading what that vote was for?
I don't think that's misleading at all. And quite frankly, it's a long history on this. This is not only these 3 votes, but the votes on Violence Against Women Act, the watering down the Violence Against Women Act, voting against Planned Parenthood twice, and just recently in our debate, Congressman Heck said that he would never vote for a bill that didn't have an exception for rape or incest. Come to find out, in July, he did vote for a bill, H.R. 3803, that said rape and incest, there was no exception for rape and incest, and in fact made it criminal in the District of Columbia to get an abortion.
What are you saying about him?
I'm saying that his record is horrible on women's health and safety issues.
All right. After going through all that now, it is difficult to prove whether it was what the rape was, incest or not, isn't it?
Well, first, John, to say that I'm bad on women's health issues as a physician who's been practicing in the community for over 20 years in an emergency department where I've taken care of thousands of women, many of which unfortunately were victims of rape or domestic violence, and taking care of them in their most difficult times of need is just very disingenuous on the part of my opponent. So let's run through those bills. The first bill, that omnibus spending bill, those 2 provisions were 2 of 45. It also included things like an oral history of Nevada and a California interpretive trail provision. I mean, the issue is not that those 2 things weren't worthwhile programs to be funded, but they should have been funded in separate bills as everything else is funded.
Well, you were out of the mainstream in the vote on that bill, were you not?
Certainly.
Only a couple of you out of 21. He's right that the Senate was controlled by Bill Raggio, who voted for it. I think it was only you and Bob Beers who voted
This is a vote against the process by which that bill was put together. And you know, at the end of the session, whatever money was left over is divided between the Assembly and the Senate, between Democrats and Republicans, and everybody puts their pet peeves into one bill. This was saying, look, we can't continue to budget like this because that money, as we found out in the next session, when the Speaker raised taxes, could have been put to other uses. Not that those programs weren't worthwhile, but they should have been weighed on their individual merits. Number one, H.R. 3, clear exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. Clear exceptions in that bill. And that's the only reason. And it codifies the Hyde Amendment, which is already law, which says that federal tax dollars can't be used for abortions with those three exceptions.
So we just keep going on? We just re-clarify the law that already is in existence? So, I mean, it's kind of hypocritical there, too, to say, oh, we just have to pass a bill that says that we really mean it.
Well, the fact is the Hyde Amendment is being reviewed every year. So this puts it into law so that the Hyde Amendment doesn't have to come up every year. The issue that he brings up on the D.C. abortion bill, there was no provision that took away the rights of somebody who had a victim of a rape or incest, because this bill was to ban late-term abortions only. So the individual who had was a victim of a rape or incest had 20 weeks. The thing is, 41 states in the nation have prohibitions on late-term abortions, including Nevada. And this allows for an exception in late-term abortions when the life of the mother's at risk, but is up to 20 weeks for somebody who's a victim of rape or incest.
Second trimester.
Moving into the third trimester, late-term abortions. In fact, 1% of all abortions in this country are done in cases of incest or rape, and only 1% of all abortions are done after 20 weeks.
Just like the votes on Planned Parenthood. It's a backhanded way.
It's not a backhanded. The fact is, Planned Parenthood just needs to show that there's a firewall between their federal tax dollars not being used to subsidize abortion services, which they failed to do.
I want to finish really what you're trying to do here. A lot of polls have shown you behind. So you, in a desperate move, I'm presenting this to you, in a desperate move, you're just trying to scare women that this guy is hostile to women. That's what's going on here,
Not
right?
at all, John. We're trying to highlight women's health and safety issues. We're trying to highlight issues of seniors. We're on Medicare and Social Security. The congressman taking votes that aren't
the House passed the Violence Against Women's Act. The House passed the Violence Against Women Act that was introduced in the House. The Senate version never came over. Had the Senate version come over, I would have voted for that one as well.
And John, what did that bill do?
The fact is, the House passed the Violence Against Women Act,
minorities, gays, lesbians,
adding $600 billion to funding for domestic violence.
We have vetted this, gentlemen. I have to take a break, or my producer and all the sponsors will kill me, and that wouldn't be pleasant for me. Violence Against Ralston Act. We'll sign that. I bet a lot of people. Stick around.
Have a question or comment? You can email John, ralstonreports@gmail.com. Welcome to the new normal, where over 8% unemployment is doing fine, and millions of Americans have simply given up. Where our children will grow up under the weight of crushing debt in a world where America is no longer the leader, and we're told we're going forward, even as we fall further behind. This is the new normal. This is President Obama's economy. Demand better. Restore Our Future is responsible for the content of this message.
We all like school teachers. That's a wonderful thing. But hiring school teachers is not going to raise the growth of the U.S. economy.
Mitt Romney on education.
All the talk about we need smaller classroom size, look, that's promoted by the teachers' unions to hire more teachers.
President Obama has a different view. He believes smaller class sizes and great teachers are a key to a stronger economy and a stronger middle class.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Hi, I'm Matthew Hull, and on behalf of our third-generation family-owned dealership, I'd like to invite you to Michael Hull Subaru for the Love Your Subaru, Love Your Dealer sales event. We have a complete lineup of 2013 Subarus, including Foresters, Legacies, Outbacks, Imprezas, and more. We're a Nevada company run by Nevadans, and with the new freeway, we're just 18 minutes from Reno. Come on down to the Love Your Subaru, Love Your Dealer sales event, going on now. Become part of the Michael Hull family. And remember, if you don't shop Michael Hull, you'll pay too much.
We have to work on a collaborative basis. Look, the reason I'm in this race is there are people that are really hurting today in this country. And we face this deficit could crush the future generations. And Republicans and Democrats both love America. But we need to have leadership leadership in Washington that will actually bring people together and get the job done and could not care less if it's a Republican or a Democrat. I've done it before. I'll do it again.
I'm Mitt Romney, and I approve this message.
It's Champion Chevrolet's Super Closeout 2012 sale with 400 brand new, exciting, and economical Chevy cars and trucks. Don't miss out on giant GM incentives, high trade-ins, and the lowest closeout sale prices of the year. Like a 2012 Chevy Silverado 1500 4x4 regular cab, $24,888. Or a 2013 Chevy Equinox LS all-wheel drive, $26,888. Save big on the new fuel-efficient Chevy car or truck of your choice during Champion Super Closeout 2012 sale.
And now, Ralston Reports.
Well, welcome back across Nevada to Ralston Reports. Tonight we're having a debate between the candidates for Congressional District 3, one of the most watched races in the country, between the incumbent Joe Heck, the Republican, and Speaker John Oceguera of the Nevada Assembly is the Democrat. All right, we looked at one ad that you were running. I want to show an ad now that the National Republican Congressional Committee, which is supporting you, is running against you, Mr. Speaker. Let's take a look.
World-class hypocrite. That's what the press called politician John Oceguera. Says he's for us, but took 2 taxpayer-funded salaries at the same time. World-class hypocrite. Oceguera abused the system, retiring at 43 to start collecting a world-class pension. But Oceguera pushed massive tax hikes on the middle class, risking jobs. John Oceguera, world-class hypocrite, middle-class nightmare. The National Republican Congressional Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
All right, that is an NRCC ad, but you have used those same issues, or at least most of them, in some press releases and in other media. Let's talk about a couple of things, and let's take the last thing first. Massive tax hike? That was not a massive tax hike on the middle class. Explain to me how that was a massive tax hike.
Which wasn't a massive? The one in 2003 or the one in 2009?
Yeah, but you were talking about them, 1 and 2. Okay.
There were 2 massive tax hikes in the Speaker's history. The first being the largest at the time in Nevada's history, and that was the one in 2003, and then the one in 2009. Both the largest tax hikes in the state's history. So where is that wrong?
Did they hurt the economy in any way, or hurt the middle class in any way that you can prove?
Well, of course, it's taking money out of people's pockets. And when we're in a recession, the idea is to have people keep more of their own money in their own pockets so they can go out and stimulate the economy. And this takes money out of their pockets.
All right, let's talk. I'm going to let you respond to both things instead, but I want him to defend it first. The other thing about his pension and the lavish, did he do anything that illegal that you know about?
John, I've never hit the Speaker on the pension issue. I have not. The NRCC has.
You don't support that attack?
I have not hit the pension issue.
Do you think he's done anything wrong in that?
Well, I think, as the ad says, that's the system. That shows that the PERS system probably needs to be revisited. So the pension issue, that's an ad that the NRCC has put out, not like the previous ad that the Speaker had personally approved of.
Well, I'm asking you if you agree with that ad. Or do you want to distance yourself from that ad? Or do you agree?
I think, retiring at the age of 42 or 43 with a 6-figure pension is rather lavish. But that's the system in which this state operates. So, I can't fault the Speaker for that. That is the system in which this state operates as far as public employees.
It's a system that you sure haven't complained about a lot as a legislator, and that you have benefited from. The facts are the facts, are they not?
Look, John, I don't know what the right age for retirement for a public safety person should be. I know
42 or 43, that's pretty young.
John, I put in 20 years, just like Colonel Heck put in 20 years, and I congratulate him on his service. I served this community for 20 years, was exposed to contagious diseases, burning buildings, all sorts of things. I've had a lot of friends die, and I'm probably going to have a lot more die. I don't know what the age is.
Should you have been taking money, the other issue that's been brought up, as a firefighter while you were up in Carson City?
Yeah, John, let's go over that. It's interesting. One, North Las Vegas works 4 days a week. So 2 days of those, I took vacation time. So while most people go to Disneyland with their kids, I was serving our community in Carson City. 1 day a week, I took leave without pay. That meant I didn't get paid. And the other day a week, I came back and worked. I worked on the weekends. So that is the simple explanation. But I think it's really kind of hypocritical for Congressman Heck to make those comments. He had $1 million contract with a local government, taxpayer money.
But he didn't criticize you for that, for the pension.
Yes, he did.
Well, let's talk about the other issue. If he wants to spend himself on the contract, that's fine. Let's talk about the tax increases.
Sure.
What he's saying is true. You were there. You voted. And you presided over, you pushed through tax increases in your leadership position.
Sure.
Why? Explain that to people.
Absolutely. I didn't want to decimate education. I didn't want to decimate the health and human services in this community. I didn't want to eliminate services for seniors, for people that really needed those. So I tried to take a balanced approach. I tried to cut where we needed to cut. And you know, I took a tour all over the state talking to local governments and telling them we had a 53% budget deficit and we are going to cut. So that was the one approach that we cut.
Your record is not a record of cutting. Yours is a record.
My opponent has never met a tax increase he hasn't voted for. That's the issue. Every time in the state legislature, he has raised taxes at every turn when a tax package has been put in front of him. Taxes on businesses, taxes on individuals,
in this
always
debate right now
tax and spend.
is me.
That is the history
the only guy that's ever had to balance
of this opponent. Tax and spend.
Look at the federal budget right now. Look where we're at right now.
Right. I supported the balanced budget amendment.
You balanced the budget with tax increases.
The balanced budget amendment.
And cuts.
The two largest tax increases in our state's history.
Is that true? What did he say?
I didn't.
The two largest tax increases in state history.
Isn't every tax increase going to be the largest tax increase in our history?
Not if you're controlling spending, as you claim.
We are controlling spending.
Well, but you're also raising taxes more with each successive legislative session.
We also worked on economic development to try to get people back to work. That was in a bipartisan way, something that's not happening in Washington.
Which is why we still have the highest unemployment rate in the nation.
We're out of time again. I'm going to be slain by my producer and our sponsors. We got to come back for a couple more segments, and we'll talk to these gentlemen on some issues, see where they agree and where they disagree. I wonder which one it'll be. Stick around.
Follow John on Twitter. Go online to twitter.com/Ralston Reports.
Almost 50 years ago, my family packed everything we owned and headed west. We were supposed to stay in Nevada for one night, but we never left. Nevada gave me the chance to get a good education, find a job, and raise a family. I believe Nevada's middle class deserve those same opportunities today to have a good job and make sure our children get the best education. I'm Shelley Berkeley. I approve this message and I ask for your vote so I can keep fighting for you.
Sheila Leslie and her Washington, D.C. union bosses are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on dishonest attacks against Greg Brower. Greg never voted against access to birth control or cancer screenings and never voted against Medicare. In fact, he was never in Congress where these issues came up. Sheila Leslie will say anything to buy us in the state Senate. Sheila Leslie, the worst kind of politician. She's not worthy of our vote.
I'm Dean Heller, and I approve this message.
This foreclosure debacle has been devastating for Nevada families.
But not for Shelley Berkeley. Unbelievably, she and her husband are buying up foreclosed homes and flipping them for a profit, while families are devastated and forced from their homes. No wonder Berkeley is already under investigation by the House Ethics Committee. Shelley Berkeley, profiting from Nevada families' suffering. How much lower can Shelley Berkeley go?
Hi, I'm Matthew Hull, and on behalf of our third-generation family-owned dealership, I'd like to invite you into Michael Hull Honda to see and test drive the exciting new 2013 Honda Accord. The Honda Accord raises the standard on what comes standard, with high-tech style, luxury, and performance. Be sure to check out our entire lineup of Honda deals, like a 2012 Honda Civic LX Automatic for just $159 a month. We're a Nevada company run by Nevadans. And now with the new freeway, it takes less time to become part of the Michael Hull family. Just 18 minutes from Reno. Michael Hull Honda in Carson City.
Halloween has a way of bringing out the kid in all of us. At Sparks Florists, we'll help you get in the Halloween spirit with fabulous Halloween bouquets. Liven up your home or office with our fresh pumpkin bouquet. Or scare your friends and family with our Hocus Pocus or Creepy Crawlers bouquet. Make sure to get in the Halloween spirit. And call your personal florist, Sparks Florists.
And now, Ralston Reports.
Welcome back across Nevada to Ralston Reports. We have Congressman Joe Heck and his challenger, John Oceguera, the Speaker of the Nevada Assembly, here today. They're facing off on November 6th for CD3. Beyond all these ads, Congressman, what would you say is the most serious policy difference that you have with your opponent?
I think it's how do you go about stimulating the economy that the private sector can put people back to work. You look at what we have championed, which is making sure that there's predictability and stability for small business owners in what their tax structure is going to be, what their regulatory burden is going to be, so that they're willing to take a chance and go out and put people back to work. Opening up unconventional ways for them to gain access to capital, since capital is dried up. So those are the things that we've tried to do in passing extensions to the current tax rates, in trying to rein in some of the regulatory overreach of the EPA and other administrative agencies, by trying to make sure that they understand what's going to happen in January 1st. Because as I've traveled throughout the district talking to businesses, there are businesses that say, we could hire right now, but we're not going to. Because I'm not going to put somebody on the payroll today if I'm going to have to let them go in February, March, April.
What are they afraid of?
They're afraid of an increase in tax on their business. They're afraid of the regulatory burden as more of these laws that have been passed previously start to have the enacting regulations rolled out. There's a big question about Dodd-Frank, about healthcare regulations, and how they're going to impact small businesses and their ability to get capital, or how they're going to provide health insurance. And these regulations are keeping people, business owners, dead in their tracks when it comes to hiring folks.
Is he right?
No, he's not right at all. And here's the issue. Congressman Heck worked on social issues. The third bill he did was a social issue bill. I just don't understand that.
That has nothing to do with this, though.
Yeah, it sure does.
How?
If the number one issue is the economy and jobs, which I agree that's the number one issue, then we ought to be working on that. We shouldn't be working on social issues.
So the bill that I introduced was to increase international tourism and travel to the United States, a large portion of which would come to the United States and would add, $1.2 billion to the economy.
So that is what the visa bill.
Sure.
What about that? Do you agree with that?
Well, Congressman Heck, that's a great idea. But what we ought to be doing is diversifying the economy, not relying only on the gaming industry. So we ought to be working on infrastructure. Every time this economy's been in trouble, we brought it back with infrastructure. But not only for right now jobs, but for sure. So for the sake of
so the Local Jobs Act that I've introduced actually provides training for future jobs.
I want to know how you did that.
So, for example, the power grid. If we do that right now, that puts people together, puts people to work right now.
Do what with the power grid?
We enhance it, make it more safe, make it so that a city like Las Vegas can't go dark. So that only...
Isn't that the power company's job? How is that government's job?
That's a great opportunity, John. Thanks for bringing that up, for public-private partnerships.
Like the bill that I introduced called Three Kids Mine Remediation Act, which is a public-private partnership to remediate an environmental blight in the city of Henderson and open the area up to economic development.
Go ahead.
So my three-point plan is infrastructure, small business, helping small business, because that's where a majority of the jobs are created.
Aren't you worried about regulations, as he said?
Look, I can't disagree with Congressman Heck on that we ought to make sure that there's not overbearing regulations. We ought to eliminate regulations that are crazy. I can name a bunch of crazy regulations, and I'm for that.
I'm going to give you a chance to do that. We're going to take one more break, and we'll be back with the candidates for CD3. Stick around.
Sheila Leslie moved into our neighborhood just to run for state senate, and the special interest money moved in with her. More than $400,000 in special interest cash. Special interests are bankrolling Sheila Leslie because they know they can count on her to hike our taxes to pay for their agenda. They'll cash in with Leslie, a force for raising taxes. Special interests finance Leslie. If she wins, they'll get paid back, and we'll get the bill.
Hi, this is your favorite Congresswoman, Shelley Berkeley.
Our favorite? Berkeley was named among the most corrupt politicians in Congress, abusing her office for personal gain. But while Berkeley helped herself, she voted to raise taxes on middle-class families and small businesses, killing jobs, hurting families.
This is your favorite Congresswoman, Shelley Berkeley.
Not after she helped herself while Nevadans struggled. Shelley Berkeley, everything that's wrong with Washington. Crossroads GPS is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Kitty Jung is well known for standing up to the good old boys. Unafraid to take on the powers that be, Kitty is a zealous advocate for all the rest of us. Working hard on our community, she served the Washoe County Commission the last 5 years. Now we need someone on our side at City Hall, and we can count on Kitty Jung. Her opponent, just a mouthpiece for the status quo. Kitty Jung, standing up for us.
Reno Tahoe International has new one-stop service to the Hawaiian Islands on Alaska Airlines. Depart Reno at 6 a.m. and arrive in Hawaii by 10 a.m. Book your flight on alaskaair.com today.
There's a clear choice for Board of Regents in District 9. First, meet Ron Knacht. He was recently fired from his taxpayer-funded job at the Nevada Public Utilities Commission for conducting political activities during his workday. Really, Ron? Who does that? Now meet Michonne McAdon. She's spent her entire career as an educator focusing on higher education in rural Nevada and was appointed by 4 Nevada governors to a statewide commission. Ah, much better. Sorry, Ron. We're voting for Michonne McAdon.
Welcome back to Ralston Reports. We're talking to the candidates for Congressional District 3. The incumbent Republican is Joe Heck, and the challenger is Democratic Assembly Speaker John Oceguera. Let's talk about an issue that may be the most important issue besides the economy and jobs that's related in CD3, the foreclosure crisis. You get to Congress, what's the first thing that you propose to help Nevadans with the foreclosure crisis?
John, this is personal to me. I drive down my block every day and see the houses on my block foreclosed on, people walked away. I'm 50% underwater in my house as well. 2 things we can do. Mediation program, just like we did in this state. It's a model.
That exists already, right? What are you going to do at the federal level?
At the federal level. I think we ought to federalize that. I think we ought to make it a program that forces the bank and the homeowner to get together. It's a win for everyone.
But Nevadans already have that, don't they? People in CD3 already have foreclosure mediation. They have access to it.
They do, but at that level, I have to think about the whole country, right? Okay. So and the second thing is principal reduction. I think, and it's taken me a while to get here, but I think we ought to be working on principal reduction, and here's why.
How do you force the banks to do it?
Well, you're Congress, right? You can force them to do a lot of things. But here's the issue. I mean, I think the banks have a win in this because they not only don't have to sell that house at foreclosure sale, but then on the back end of that, I would say that they get part of that profit.
All right, let him jump in here. What have you done? What do you think still needs to be done?
Well, the whole goal is to be able to keep people in their homes and then get people back into homes. And so how can we do that? Well, you do that by giving them a lower monthly payment. And so I was the lone Republican to vote to maintain the FHA refinance program. Was one of 2
Is that
Republicans.
Just because of your district? Because it doesn't sound like something you generally vote
exactly.
for.
I mean, when you look at at the time coming from the district that had the highest foreclosure rates in the country, every possible opportunity had to be given to homeowners to be able to stay in their homes.
But so does that go against your grain philosophicable, though, Congressman, to have done that?
Well, the fact is you got to look at what do the folks back home need, and that's what they needed. Same thing with the affordable modification program. One of 2 Republicans to vote for that. And then we introduced legislation to try to get people back into homes. So we found that while there were some programs to help people that were losing their homes, and again, I was told, well, only 17,000 families were helped by HAMP in Nevada. I said, yeah, but if you're one of that 17,000 families, that makes all the difference. Right. Well, so we introduced a bill to help people get back into homes to forgive the negative credit report.
Gentlemen, I wish we had more time. We are out of time. I really appreciate both your willingness to debate. Good luck on November 6th. Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Now, the next Ralston Reports, we'll have AFL-CIO National Chief Richard Trumka. Plus, that long-awaited ruling is in. The state Supreme Court says Clark County's coroner's inquest process must go. We'll tell you why. Next, Ralston Reports. Thanks for watching, everybody.
It's Halloween Thursday on NBC.
I can't get it off!
The perfect night to catch a new 30 Rock.
Call me Mitt.
Along with Sean Hayes on Up All Night.
Oh, it's very muddy.
Then prepare to be haunted by the pipes of Stephen Colbert on The Office.
If I could touch your body.
Told you.
My pipes are primo, champ.
And who's got the best costume on Parks and Rec?
Man dressed as a nerd. Female dressed as crazy witch.
Neither of us is in costume.
Case closed.
All new Halloween comedy tonight here on NBC.
President Obama says he's creating jobs, but he's really creating debt. The facts are clear. Obama's 4 deficits are the 4 largest in U.S. history. He's adding almost as much debt as all 43 previous presidents combined. And over 30 cents of every dollar Obama spends is borrowed, much of it from countries like China. He's not just wasting money, he's borrowing it and then wasting it. We can't afford 4 more years.
I'm Mitt Romney, and I approve this message. Nuts. Good to eat, not good for politicians. Greg Brower wants to represent Nevada families, but he supports tax breaks for companies that send the jobs we need overseas. That's nuts. And he thinks we should make it harder for women to access birth control and let insurance companies drop coverage for women's cancer screenings. Nuts. And Brower says ending Medicare as we know it is long overdue, which would leave seniors paying thousands more each year. Plain nuts. Greg Brower, not what Nevada needs.
Hi, friends. Richard West for Jones West Ford. Come check out the new 2013 Fords available. The new Ford Escape 6-speed automatic, 22 miles per gallon in the city, 31 on the highway. A great vehicle for northern Nevada, starting at only $23,595. And this is the time of year to make the great buy. How about a new 2013 Ford Explorer, starting only at $32,295 for a 4-wheel drive, up to 23 miles per gallon on the highway. Come see us.
Thunder from Down Under, October 26th and 27th.
Leanne Rimes out of rehab and breaking down in tears.
We have the story behind her emotional appearance today.
I'm not gonna cry.
Then, new video of Alec Baldwin as his alleged stalker drops more bombs.